All right, everybody. Thanks for jumping on the Integrity Connect inbound call training. We're going to come up with a regular schedule, but for now, I just give like 48 hours notice, and we jump on and we record it, and we're going to start getting the videos out. But I'm excited to have Heather Robeson on with us. If I could do the little clap audio, I would, but I'll just go Heather. But I'm excited to have her on. I think you guys are going to get a lot from this. If you know people who are doing inbound calls, who are taking inbound calls, uh, get them the link, get them on this as quickly as possible. I know she's going to share some really insightful things because she's having a ton of success with it, and she's been doing it now for a while. She's worked a lot of the kinks out. She's learned how to make this profitable. She's learned how to teach people how to be profitable with it, and I just know she has a lot of great insight for y'all. So thanks for jumping on this. A few real quick housekeeping notes. Um, I'm going to get out a regular schedule. We'll tell you all in advance when these are going to be. If you know people on your teams who are killing it with the Integrity Connect inbounds, let us know so we can feature them so that we can share what the best practices are. And that's pretty much all I got. So Heather, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, Trey. I always
I
love talking to you and anybody and helping anybody.
I know that's the truth. If there's one person I can depend on, it's you. You do help everybody, so I appreciate that. So Heather, tell us a little bit about your journey with the inbound calls, and then I want to get into like some nuts and bolts of it, some things you didn't do before that you do now, things you used to do that you stopped doing that weren't working, and just the overall strategy of it, so we can really give people some, you know, brass tacks and nuts and bolts training on this thing.
Sure. So I'll start from the beginning when you first introduced it to me and you encouraged me, and I trust you, Trey, highly. So when you introduced it to me, I was like, okay, I've got to try this. So I did. But at the time, I tried to integrate it in with uh, calling out outbounds. And and it worked. It was working, and it was working, and it was working. And I was like, wait a minute. I really like this. I really like it. I really like them calling me versus the pain and agony of me calling out. So then it became more of a convenience factor. It became more of, well, I can definitely do this better and I can manage my team better and I can do things like with recruiting that I couldn't find time to do. I was working so much that it kind of allowed me after I would say I went full-fledged inbounds as of I want to say February. February is my first full month of just inbounds. And once I did that, it's been incredible to, I say this lightly and carefully, open up my time to where I can actually focus on things that I also like to do. Family, right? That's number one. Because people think, oh, Heather, you work so much. I did. I worked a lot. I still work a lot. But now with the inbounds, I get to integrate working out, going for a walk with my dog, right? But I say it cautiously because you don't want somebody to think, well, and then do more of that versus actually working. I want you to understand I still work. I still take inbounds. I still put it on my calendar. I'm very meticulous with my calendar, right? And my inbound time, I protect that time just like you would protect your time outbounding. So that's how it kind of went. And from February until now, it's been solely inbound. And then moving myself, not only just myself, but then it went to letting the team know, hey guys, this is gonna be something that's different than what you're used to. And also bringing people back who maybe it didn't work out, the outbound thing, to see if this would be something that would work better for them. That's kind of the inbound history for short amount of history that we have.
I love that. And you said a lot. I mean, we could unpack that first statement and just turn that into the next hour. Um, because a couple of things have happened. All right. I was talking to Andrew about this. And when we started, we had our schedule down so well for selling that we knew where to find the time to recruit. We weren't running, I mean, we weren't. We weren't running 15 hours a day selling 6 days a week. That's not what the program was at the beginning. We had structured time to build the business, spend time with agents, do the other stuff that was built into our daily and weekly routine. Um, at one point, Andrew's whole deal was like, dude, let's sell on the weekends and recruit all week. That was that's how we really blew it up. We spent all week recruiting and we sold 2 full-time days on the weekends. At one time, Zach Trudowski was like, okay, if I could run appointments on Sunday and be done and write 10K by Tuesday or Wednesday, then I'm going to spend the rest of the week recruiting. We had built that in. So we thought about time to recruit. We thought about time to do all this other stuff that we needed to do to build our businesses. It wasn't just, hey, let's dial 12 to 15 hours a day. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love the work ethic. I love the I won't be denied attitude. I love the we can do it. I love the I'm going to outwork everybody. I love all that. But when you get back to the format of I can take calls between this time and this time, and I could be really productive and I could help people with insurance, and then you add back in the ability to build a business, it's going to get crazy. Because if I'm being really honest, and I don't know who's all watching this, it's kind of scary to, I'm just going to tell you straight up. At some point, the recruiting part of the business sort of took a back burner for a lot of people because we were spending so much time outbound. That really is what happened. And so people just were less intentional about it. But imagine this system now that we have where people are calling us. Here's the other thing I learned, Heather. People that are good at selling insurance do really good on inbound calls. Like they're used to selling insurance. So what do you do? Because there's two types of people. I gave you like a big long statement because I'm
I know
vibing with
there's a
what you're
lot to
saying.
that.
Yes. But what do you say to the people? Because there's two types of people that come into it, right? There's people that have no experience at all, which when you're good at teaching people how to sell insurance, you're really good at teaching people how to sell these. That's the other thing I learned. But they have no experience at all. So they come in and they're like, hey, they're calling me. It can't be that bad. And then you have the person that's like, you know, they're good at it, but then they complain because they're like, oh, everybody thinks it's free. Or I mean, talk about all of that stuff. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore, but I just
No, no, no. I
that's
like
where
that.
this
I
is
like
going.
that you're asking me questions because I always forget what you asked me. Um,
I
but
do too, but we have fun.
what it comes down to, this whole thing, and people are going to roll their eyes. I can guarantee one person's going to roll their eyes. We just can't see them. Is you have to sell the insurance, you have to be able to do that. Do you need to do that day one? No. We have systems in place to do that. It's called Zoom, Discord, whatever thing you're on, doesn't matter, right? That's number one. That's where you learn to sell it. The people who come in that I struggle with a little bit, I try to be patient, yeah, are the people who want to perfect everything first. But that's the same as outbounds. They still do
Mhm.
the same thing. They come in, they're like, I want to know the carriers, I don't want to know where to go, all this other stuff. And I'm like, no, you don't need that. All you have is us who are teaching you. That's the best way to learn. And Trey, I don't know if you remember this, but when I started, we didn't even have that. There was no Zooms back then.
Right.
I was sitting at my dining room table and I was calling through this Excel file of printout thing, and I was marking them off, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know carriers. I wrote so much, like so many companies that I shouldn't even have written, just because I didn't know. There wasn't that, right? But we have that for you. We have that for our teams now. And that's so huge. There's a lot of those people who then won't get onto that. And they don't believe it. Why? I don't know. There's a lot of things to that. Like there's a lot to those types of people. Maybe they just don't trust it. Maybe they're embarrassed. They're not used to it, all of that stuff. So if we can get over those two hurdles, right? Now they're actually on the Zooms or on the Discord. We're there. We're there. They're learning. Now we have to get over the hurdle of teaching them that it's okay to press the button. Because if you remember when we were outbounding, pressing that call button is hard, right? Like, oh my God, they're going to answer. What do I say? Right? Same
Mhm.
thing. If I press that I'm available button, it's going to ring. So what do I say? The simplified answer to that is your script. Like, and that's where the eye rolls are going to come in. Oh, here she goes again with the script. Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I am too old to memorize a script. I still have my script and it's still paper. And guess what? The inbound script just got edited last night. We reprinted it today. Couple stupid words here and there. Just edit it along the way. Reprint, let the team know you reprinted the script or reprint the script or whatever. You have to learn by failing through the script in front of people that are willing to help you. Like that's how it's done. And if you're not
Mm.
willing to do that, and that those are the people that just they're gonna whine, they're gonna cry, they're gonna fall off. And it's this probably the same amount of people. Well, it's probably not. I've seen an increase of people actually succeeding with inbounds because of the systems, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a long time, the training has all been training on helping you keep a good attitude while you're dialing and the monotony between actually talking to someone. That's actually what I spend most of my time training on. But
Mm-hmm.
with this, there's certain people that are really good at selling, that are good at teaching people how to sell. And now what's happening is people are getting plenty of closing opportunities. And when you hear people with closing opportunities, you can do what you do best, which is to teach them how to close those people. And so there's a
Yep.
skill set to managing that really hasn't been available to us for a while, where there's a lot of people that can succeed with this platform. That's the best way I know how to say it, but it's really exciting. So I'm seeing a lot of people come in, make sales on their first day just by reading the script and then realizing it worked because of this, this, and this. When I didn't sell it, it didn't work because of this. They get almost instantaneous feedback, and then they can put it back into action within a couple of minutes, which is totally profound.
And to think about that for a minute, because what you just said is everything that almost, if you scroll through Facebook or the Instagram or anything, what are people looking for? That
Yeah,
everybody's looking for remote positions. Everybody's looking for things that they can do spare time, or their moms, their dads, they only have their kids part-time, whatever it is, everybody's looking for just that. There's your recruiting. like
yeah,
it's all coming back to that. Like this is what everybody's looking for. We just need to loosen up, right? We just need to shoulders back and just be like, all right, what's our next step? And whether you think you're building a team or you want to build a team or you are building a team, you have to think, how can I help people who are those people? There's so many people out there that just want this. We have to perfect it and help them to get in here and do it, right?
yeah, yeah, no doubt. Well, and then what do you say? So the other part of this, Heather, is like every week people get kicked off the platform for quality because they're not taking enough billable calls. And then I get flooded with calls because for whatever reason, integrity support chat tells everybody to call me. And I gotta
Because
explain to
you're
them,
the king.
you know, what no, I don't I need help. But uh then I gotta explain to them like, dude, you gotta take 3 calls out of 10. And then the thing I get back is, well, everybody thinks it's free. And so you've come through that whole process of like, you might have even thought that at one point, and then you change the way you thought about it. And now you really don't care what they say when you answer the phone. You're just going to do your best to sell it. So walk us through that.
Okay, so first and foremost, little secret, I no longer tell agents it's three. I always tell them it's 4 out of 10. So why?
Good.
Because there's going to be the agents who try to tweak the system, right? That's what they're all. Not that I'm saying any of my agents do that, but I'm just saying a four mentality is way better and then there's a little bit of wiggle room, right? So I don't know, maybe change what you say to them.
I like it. Four,
But,
4 out of 10. Yes.
but then the other thing is I've done the different lead things. I mean, yeah, different types of leads, right? The beta group, the Spectra, the ILC, I've done them all, right? I love that we only have 4 out of 10. Like that gives us so much playroom. That's like a gift. And I love the 90 seconds. I'm not gonna lie. I love the 90 seconds because it gives me some freedom, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Now, where did it start? It started with me, my very first month taking doing seven. I think I burned through seven leads. And I say burn because I didn't know what I was doing. I was that brand new agent. Sure, I knew how to sell insurance. So I can't say that, but I didn't know how to sell inbounds. I didn't know even what it was. First one, I just didn't, I flubbed every single word. Right. So you go through that practice. So there were seven. So that made me understand if I, as an experienced agent, went through seven, what does that look like for somebody coming in who's brand new and never does learn, hasn't learned anything yet? So what I tell my agents is brand new is they have to be able to support financially 15 leads, seven times two. And really, the only reason I do 15 is because it's a prettier number when it comes down to the math. Okay. So I tell them it's 15 leads. And that's what they have to support financially. And in order to do that, then they're going to have that first 7 to 10 where they might flub it up, learn, and all that. But really, it's not that. And no agent that I have has come in and not had a sale within $1,400, let's just say. Like the first week is kind of it. And the other thing is, if you're following that system, you have to be very careful of what you're hanging up on. You can't detect dementia. You can't. Not in the first 90 seconds. So you're going to take that call and then you're going to not have that sale later on. And you have to mentally be okay with that. There's
Yeah.
nothing we can do about it. The only thing that, well, let me say, be careful about onlys. One of the things that I just don't deal with, and there's a lot of things I don't, there's like, you have to understand, like, there's some things I'm not going to deal with. I'm not going to deal with somebody who I cannot understand, whether it's their English or their lack of English, or they mumble, or they're sitting, they're just not being compliant. Like,
Mhm.
you have a military background. I live with a military guy. I just don't have patience for crap like that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be compliant with me, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to hang up on you in the first 90 seconds. And I don't care if I take the hit. I don't care if it's one of my exes. And it is an ex. On here, on my tracker, I track. And if I hang up on him, it's an X with no color. That's my fault. That's on me. And I know that, right? And so I track those numbers. I'm making sure I keep track of how many people I didn't want to deal with. I had an agent just yesterday who was like telling me she was on call number 6 and she had taken them all. And I'm like, and she hadn't made anything. And I was like, what happened? Why did you keep them past the 90 seconds? And so she told me, and there were a few that were legit. She should have. But I was like, the next one, literally just if it's somebody you don't think you can. I had a 90-year-old today. We got 90 seconds to tell them or to find out what's your age or what's your date of birth, blah 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 blah. And I always say this, you probably have heard me. I'm not good at math. What age does that put you at today? Right? And they'll say, she said 90 or something like that. I was like, okay, perfect. I look at my phone. You're only at 33 seconds or something like that, or 40 seconds. I'm like, okay, so I just want you to know I'm not being rude. I do appreciate you. Do you have any other life insurance in place? Because I had some time to be kind, right? I didn't have to be an
Yeah.
ass. Excuse my language. I don't have to be rude, right? And I was like, do you have any life? She's like, no, I don't think I do. Okay. I said, okay, perfect. So at 90 years old, I do want you to know, because I also don't want her shopping around. I don't want her calling. I don't want her wasting her time, nothing like that. As I do want you to know, there are no companies out there that are going to get you life insurance at 90. And she was like, thank you so much for telling me that. Not a problem. You have a blessed day. And I hung up because I'm not like, why wouldn't I? Right. And that's a legit reason to hang up. So just making sure you're tracking your numbers is huge. Don't give yourself 3, give yourself 4, give yourself at least 4. If you guys are actually working 10, there's no way, if you're truly doing 10, there's no way, first and foremost, that you're not at least selling one every other day, at least. At least.
Yeah.
You might not sell one if in 10 in one day. But if you're working full time and you're taking these inbounds full time and you're getting to there's no reason not to get to 10 if you're a brand new agent and or you're not running a team. No reason working full time. So the numbers are there and you just have to keep track of your numbers. So anyways, I
Yeah.
don't even know if I answered your question.
No, I liked where you went with it. Definitely, it definitely answered. It, I think a big part of the mindset is um, just Will Lore, I think, said it best out of anybody. Is he said, "Look, when it changed for me, when I started doing well with these, is when I realized I need to find ways to be on the phone with people all day, not find excuses to get off the phone." And and that really does say it all because you've been selling insurance for a long time, and it's crazy to watch people get into bad habits that they wouldn't do if they were dialing out. Like if you just dialed for 2 hours from 1 to 3 in the afternoon and nobody answered, and you're about ready to ram your face into the window, and somebody answers, and the second question they ask you 42 seconds in is, "How much is it?" You don't tell them how much it is. you you do your phone presentation. You build value. You find out about the beneficiary. You ask health questions. You don't just say it's $172 a month. Jim, do you want it? No, that would be dumb. You would never do that if you're dialing out. But because we have this artificial 90-second barrier, this buzzer, people are like, I wonder if Jim will pay $317. He's only 84.
The best part about inbounds too is that it kind of forces you, if you do have a script, it forces, which you do, it's on your, it's, you have to go through the training to get in, the script is right there. Um, but if you're following that script and you go back to the script every single time, then they're gonna, if they're not gonna move forward past the 90 seconds,
They'll
they're
hang
gonna
up.
hang up on you,
Right.
right? When that
That's right.
doesn't happen when you're calling them.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you're right. The mindset of it is different. And I think, there was a little bit of that. You asked kind of about what does it look like. There was a mindset shift I had to, I think I probably got shut down once because I wasn't following a script. Not from integrity, but from you, I think. I don't even know. Doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but you learn from it, right? And you move forward. And you learn what you're doing and you share that with other people. And I think that's important.
Well, and here's the other thing for those that are just chiming in. One thing that's really important to understand about these inbound calls is the more volume and the longer it runs, the better it gets, the better the quality gets. So when you're hanging up in the first 90 seconds, when you hang up on good clients, you're basically telling the algorithm that all these media buyers are using to push you calls. You're telling that algorithm to go find the exact opposite of that person. So when you get ones that are actually good clients that you just lose your patience with or you prejudge and you don't take them past 90 seconds, you're telling Facebook, hey, show that ad to the complete opposite person. That's how the algorithm works, which is
That's
totally
so
screwy.
crazy to try to understand that, but it's true.
But what's really fascinating about it is the more calls you take, the less bad calls you get. And there's a ton of people, Heather being one. Like if Heather spent all day on the ILC, she don't get as many people thinking it's free as how it was in the beginning because they give her quality calls because that's how the algorithm's set up. And so I hope this is making sense to people. I don't know. I feel like
It
we're kind
is.
of all
And
over the place, but
on an agent side of it, or a manager side of it, I should say, or somebody who's building a team, or maybe you only have a small amount of time to do it. What I'm going to kind of suggest, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is how it works for me, is on days when we have lots of stuff. Like today, there was a lot of meetings, or no, there's a couple meetings today. I had a couple, make sure you have a decent amount of time to do it, is basically what I'm saying. If you have 4 to 6 hours to do it, or 3 to 6 hours to do it, that's when you're going to get your best quality calls. And it is exactly what you said. The first call comes in, you take it past the 90 seconds, doesn't work out, but you take another one. And don't pause it and go take an hour-long walk. Like you've got to actually focus on it so you can start getting the quality of calls to be increased. However, to on the opposite side of that, there are times when the first call I'll get is a sale and it's a good sale, right? So it's not like you're it's not like the first calls don't get in the mindset of, oh, that first call is going to suck no matter what. It's not. But the longer you're taking the calls, the less choppy that you have them. Because that's what I was doing at first, Trey. I was trying to integrate that with my appointments through outbounds, and it just was not working. I mean, it was working, but I was not comfortable with the way that it was working. I guess I should say it that way.
Yep.
So give yourself a chunk of time and then and keep it on after you hang up. Put it right back on. Don't get pissed off because the person didn't work out. Get back on the phone. It's like getting back on the horse. You have to get back on the horse after it bucks you off. If you get in a car
Yeah.
accident, you have to drive that car again, or at least a car in general. Otherwise, you're
Right.
scared. You can't hang up and then go walk around out of frustration. Ugh. If you do, you're just ruining the rest of your algorithm for the day. I do see that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So there's a couple questions in here. So Laura had a question. Uh, Integrity told me to check with you about a lead that came through at 1:30 a.m. I got an email about the lead only. Put it in the chat, Laura. Did they charge you for it, or they're just wondering why it came through at 1:30? And then let's see, Luis, or Luis or Luis, um, are you going to go over objections and scripts? Yeah, we'll go over that right
Can
now.
I take that for a second though?
Yes,
Callvault.net.
callvault.net. Yes.
Okay, Trey, I'm going to be honest with you. When you sent it to me before, I thought it was cute. The old lady Dorothy is very cute, but I did not try it. However, she said they deducted from her wallet.
Okay.
However, Lewis, if I think it's Lewis or Luis, whatever your name is, I'm sorry. If you go to
Either way, it sounds
callvault.net,
cool.
yeah,
It's
type it
better
in
than
there.
Bob.
Yeah, callvault.net / trainer, I think.
Trainer. Yep.
Trainer. I tried it this morning and I did it with my team, and I'm actually going to be utilizing it as a training in our when our agents are getting contracted. There's a week, pretty much a week before they start like dialing or inbounding or whatever. That's going to be their training is callvault.net. So
Yep.
it's awesome. If yeah, everybody should be doing it. In fact, there's a little bit of shame here. Um, I use Grok GPT. I love Grok. And
That's awesome.
he told me to put it into my day every morning before I start work to use because I shared it with Grok just to see what it told me to do. He said that even with my production level, I should practice it every day. And it's kind of true because it warms you up to the phone, right?
Yeah, it
Like
does.
it's like a warm up before a basketball game.
Well, okay. So if you use it, it does work. Now, on Apple devices, what'll happen is you'll talk to Dorothy, Dorothy will talk back, and then it'll want you to like type in the response. You don't have to do that. You just click the text box and do voice to text with the response. That's how you do it on your phone. If you
Oh,
don't do it on the phone, you could do it over your Chrome browser and you could just have a conversation with it. And she talks slow, so it gives you time to figure out how to
she
respond.
does talk slow. I wish she had talked faster. If you're trying to do your timing, I'm like, Dorothy, will you just talk faster? And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dang
But if
it,
she talks too
Dorothy.
fast, then what happens is the AI hears its own voice and tries to respond, and you start getting double echoes. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to work around. I haven't figured out how to build that where it doesn't do that. But um, but it's super valuable. Now, if you use it, pick the easy level. If you pick hard, it's literally going to give you an objection every time it talks. It's an objection, and it's hard. I mean, it's really hard. It's
It's
like
not
playing
realistic
chess.
either. It's not
Yeah,
realistic.
it's not realistic. I mean, they'll give you they say things that nobody's ever said before. Like if you could beat that, I mean, you could sell anybody. Maybe Steve Giordano could do that. Everybody else, just do the easy one. It's plenty of training. It's
I mean,
good.
medium's not bad because you can beat the objection. And I haven't truly gone through the whole thing. I've gotten like I don't pay attention to the grade yet because I haven't gone through the whole script. But I do
Yeah,
like that too because it tells you what you could do better, and you know you can edit your script based off of the possibility, don't completely edit your script, but you can kind of make sure you're hitting on things that might be more important. So whoever just said that, that was the best question of the day, because that training is the best that you can get aside from, and with objections, aside from being with your team or being with any team live.
Oh, and also, Lewis, on callvault.net, if you just go to the main page, there's audio albums that you can listen to the script and you can listen to the objections and the responses. And you can just put that puppy on repeat and listen to it. And all you got to do is just get down a few of the, hey, I'm calling for the free benefit. Well, I'm assuming, like most people, you just wanted to make sure if something happened, your family wasn't burdened, right? Yeah, that's right. Well, I got good news. I work with seniors on fixed and limited incomes. Let's figure out what you're eligible for. What state are you in? Like, that's pretty much it. You just keep moving. So
And the other part to that is you have to remember, all of you agents, you have to remember that we're saying these things, they sound great, right? And they're working, but nothing's going to ever work on everyone.
100% of the time, right?
And I have a little sticker here on my desk, and everybody knows this. There's 335 million people just in this country alone that could be calling us. Every one
Right.
of them's different. So don't expect everything to be perfect every time. You're not going to go out and have 10 calls and sell, $100,000 on those 10 calls. Not likely. Could it happen? Sure, I bet it could, but not everything's perfect every single time. So give yourself grace as well, right? Give yourself
Right.
grace to, and give them grace too. They just called a number. So
You, that's a great, okay. So this is when I started in insurance, I had an internal struggle with one thing. Okay, this is probably the biggest thing. I don't talk about this a lot, but this is good. Um, I had to understand that not everybody sells everything to everyone because there was an agent back in the day that he closed like 80% of them. He was so good. He was like the best closer. Like he had an answer for everything. He could close anybody. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, like they would say. But the best thing that ever happened to me was I was paired up with Andrew Taylor, who literally made a living and got rich selling life insurance, closing 30% of the people. And that that's what it was. But what he did was he just made up in numbers what he lacked in skill, and he was able to keep a good attitude because what he would say is he'd say, look, he goes back, and you could equate this to the phone, but this is a huge lesson. He told me, he said, my goal is to book 27 to 30 appointments a week. And I know out of that, I'm going to sell 6 homes or 6 calls. And in a few of those, I'm going to write more than one app. He goes, now the trick is sometimes I sell the first 6 that week, and sometimes I sell the last 6. He goes, so what I had to get good at was just keeping a good attitude in between. And that's how this works.
and there we go back to the mindset. And
Yep.
every single time, guys, it's mindset. We're not salespeople. We're normal people. We have a mind. You've got to keep your mindset right. And that's a perfect one. And that's awesome. And knowing your numbers, right?
Yeah,
Like knowing your
dude,
numbers, and
100%.
they're gonna improve over time with skill.
And he was so good at not being too high and not getting too low that it was actually pretty, it was really disarming. It made me uncomfortable because I would get nervous. Like, dude, like, like I, like I'd listen to him do calls. I'd be like, you should have sold that one. And he just literally wasn't affected by it at all. He's just doing his numbers. Um, which is another thing. So this is another thing that comes up, Heather. Like you can't be afraid to invest the money in the leads. Like
I know.
well, you might have had a problem with that at some point, but somewhere you got over that because you ain't afraid. But
In fact, now I don't feel like I'm spending enough. I'm
yeah,
not gonna lie. Like at first, I had gotten up to, with outbounds, I was doing don't tell Sean, he yells at us when we go over 3,000, but I was doing over $3,000 a week on leads,
hmm,
right? And now I'm like, I can barely make it to 1,600 a week. And I'm thinking, how can I, like, what can I do to do more? because you think to yourself, if I could do more lead spend, because I know that it equates, your lead spend equates to what you sell. It's obvious. And your skill level will increase over time, which maybe that dumbed it down a little bit. Maybe I went from 3,000 because I really, really, really sucked back then to or I think at my peak, when I think that was the peak. And then I was like, okay, I've got to lower my lead spend, right? And I did start out in very beginning, Trey, like everybody else, like coming up with $250 a week was hard to figure out how, right? And I get that. Um, but the consistency of doing that brought me to 500 a week. And a conversation I had with integrity partner at the time doubled that. I doubled it. And then once I got past that fear and my consistency was there, that's when 1,000 was, I could do more. I'm like, okay, if I can do 1,000, I can do 2,000. And then if I'm doing this, and again, guys, that comes with experience as you do it, right? Because I was consistent in working at the time. Then when I was at 2,000, I was like, okay, it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about what I needed to make for income. It wasn't about how much money I was putting into it. It was about what I got out of it. Then inbounds came along and I was mixing and my lead spend again, once you're at that point, you don't really care about your lead spend, but I noticed it started going down because I wasn't buying as many outbounds. Then I got rid of outbounds and I stopped dialing them, stopped buying them. And then it was like, okay, now I don't feel like I'm spending enough on leads because I'm still doing 10,000 a week. But what if I did a little bit more? But then I got to find the time to do it, right? That's why I really beg and plead for Sundays to come back.
Yeah, that's coming. I mean, it is coming, and
Sunday
everybody wants
afternoons, not church time.
well, everybody wants me to put a number on the weekend thing, and I don't know what. There's a
Yeah,
few
I
things
know.
that have to
I'm just
happen in
kidding with
order for
you.
that, and we're not far off. One of the things that is happening is Integrity Connect will have a soft phone in the next week or two that's built in. And what that means is you'll take your calls over Integrity Connect, not route it to your cell phone, but actually through the browser with your headset. Some people may not like that, but it solves so many technical issues that it's literally the best thing that could ever happen. The other thing, so there's some I can do a whole call on all the technical issues that's actually going to solve. But once we have that, our ability to scale and push more publishers into our ecosystem, um, and then the availability that we can show on the weekends so that more people want to send us calls. Because the problem is on the weekends is the people that are generating these leads, they have to make sure that there's people there to take the calls because the quickest way for them to lose it all is to send calls to nowhere. Like there has to be somebody there to answer them. And there has to be plenty of people there to answer them, not just 10 or 15.
Not just Heather who
So,
wants to work on Sundays.
right, right. So, but we'll get there. And we're going to get there with that. And we're also going to add a couple other lead types, which is really exciting. Um, but yeah, I love what
I
you said
I
about the
did.
spending.
I'm gonna tell you about Sundays and why I say that. Because part of it was when I was doing outbounds, I was working Sunday afternoons. I was actually dialing on Sunday afternoons. Then it went to I was setting appointments for Sunday afternoons. Then it went to, well, shoot, there's no inbounds open on Sundays, so I'm gonna just do my appointments and then I didn't like it. I was like, well, wait a minute. So I stopped doing Sundays, and I like even my family's like, what do you mean you're not working? Like they're like, you're crazy. You're supposed to work. You're not. I always say God built this earth in 1 week. But what people forget to look at is the fact that he finished in 1 week. I'm not done building what I need to build. And that's why God's kind of talked to me and said, no, you're good to work on Sundays until you're done. So now I'm not working on Sundays because it's not available. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm done. So bring it. So what I did was I actually looked to see after numbers came out today, guys. If you're not looking at your dashboard, look at your dashboard. That's the only thing you learn from us today. You should always be looking at your dashboard. Numbers came out today. And so I had to look and say, all right, we're 4 months in, right? Or, 3.5. how close am I to where my goal is of Hall of Fame? Everybody should have the goal of Hall of Fame because it's just a cool number and you get to walk the stage and you just earned $400,000. Okay. So everybody should have that goal. Even if you just started, you should still attempt to get it. But then where are you at? So then I minused what I've already done. And then I said, okay, if I worked all 7 days, what it would look like. Or if I worked 6 days, what it would look like. And again, I put this all into ChatGPT, right? Or, Grok GPT. He spit out some numbers to me and the realistic numbers were there. And I'm like, okay, now if I could double down on my lead spend, which means my time spent, because all it is leads and time. That's all it is. It's very easy numbers. If you're not making what you want to make, you're either missing time or you're missing the money that you're putting into it. So if I could do that, then I can get to Hall of Fame by the end of July. Of course I'll get to Hall of Fame, but I mean by a certain date, right? And so it's just that.
Nice. Well, that was awesome. All right. Are there any other specific questions before we get off this one? You guys put them in the chat. All right, Laura. Laura said she'd been afraid to invest money on leads. Um,
Well, let's talk about that, Trey.
yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that because it's Laura, I get that. But you were probably afraid to invest money on outbounds too.
Yeah.
Because that's typically what it starts at is you have this, if you have the time and you're not reinvesting your money into actual leads, it doesn't matter the type of lead. You have to remember that. I just did this with my team this morning. If you're buying $2 leads, $2 a lead, right? And you and so you maybe have $400 that week, which okay, let's start lower. Let's start at 250, right? Because that's more realistic for a newer agent. Do the math on that. I'll do it right now. $250, 250 divided by $2 leads. That's 125 leads. Okay. Most of you, since you're buying the $2 leads, know that that's a gold lead from the ILC. Now we say, all right, that's 125 leads. How long does that take us to dial? It takes us 3 days to dial that typically, at least one time through. 25 each time, at least one time through, then you dial them again, and then you dial them again. So now what you're doing is you're extending that $250 for 3 days. Okay. That's only 3 days out of your work. Multiply that times 2. That's $500 for the week. What you're afraid to do, I don't know about you, Laura, I'm just saying to the person who is listening and actually is nodding their head like, yep, is you're afraid to put that other 250 in and you keep that 250 for the week. That 250 is going to go quick in inbounds because they're more expensive leads, higher quality leads, right? Your fear is, what if I don't close that 250? Well, if you don't close that, what if you don't close anybody in the 125 leads that you call? Well, then I'll just
Yep.
call them again. Sure, but your results are going to go down, down, down every time you call them. Maybe after a month, like 2 weeks to a month, you're going to get somebody who answers out of that lead batch. But you're going to milk those leads for that long because you're afraid to put in that other 250 that you should put in no matter what. So if you change, here we go back to the mindset. If you change that, and if you're like, okay, I only have 250, how do I make this 250 work for inbounds? 250, let's say the leads are $55 right now, divided by 55. That's only four leads, right? That's 4 people calling in. You better be dang good at your numbers. You better be dang good at answering properly, getting them past that 90 seconds, right? If I only had 4 leads, I'd take every single one of them past the 90 seconds because your chances of getting somebody who you sell is way higher if you do that. So you've got to stop having a fear of spending money because this is your business, guys. This is not just something that you get paid to do. You are an official business owner. And no business, if you ever walk to any business in the area that you live in, none of them don't have some sort of, as I equated it at convention, French fries. French fries are your leads. French fries are McDonald's inventory. You have to replenish your inventory. So if you're stuck on 250 a week or 250 every 2 weeks, or 250 a month and you can't get past that, that is your fear. That's your problem. And it's not a good idea to just sit here and dwell on it. Either do something about it, go get another job. And that's the best thing. You could get another job and still do this. Like you
Right.
totally could. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have fear.
Well, it is interesting because we've never really had a part-time thing that we could really recruit to. But I'm seeing this in our team. There's a mom on our team that has two small children, like under the age of 3. Her husband's a police officer, and last month she doubled her household income around the babies
Mhm.
from home. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's pretty amazing. And so we should recruit everybody. Because like what Andrew told me the
And you
other day,
should.
he goes, dude, this is like Uber. Like if you want to take rides, you turn the app on and people call you for rides. He's
It
like,
is so addicting. I
yeah,
did that. I did DoorDash, remember? And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
addicting. I had to stop. I was so, and it's the same thing. It's a good addiction. It's not a, I wouldn't say it's a bad addiction, but it's the same thing. I remember I was in Vegas
I'm addicted to
and
ordering DoorDash. That's not good.
that can be the, but when you're driving DoorDash and Uber, same thing, whatever. You just want to hear the ding, 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 and you see what, what's next and how much you're getting paid. And it's the same thing. You literally just want to turn it back on. You can get to where it's like, all right, I'm just going to take one more. I'm going to take one more. And then you will get a big sale. You will if you keep taking one more.
Yeah, Christina Maggio just posted like she wrote like 3,000 on one call or something.
That's
It's like
awesome.
that was awesome. Um, all right. Well, this has been awesome. We will get the recording out for this one. Thank you, Heather. I'll get the schedule out for a few calls next week. We're probably going to get to the point where we do regular days and times. When we do it, it's always going to be about this time because it's a good time to do it. It's in the middle of the day or at the end of the day, and calls flow really, really well in the mornings. So, thank you guys. This has been great. Oh, yes. When do the calls come in? They come in from 9 a.m. Eastern to basically 7 or 8 Pacific is really when it is. So, all right.
And it's on Saturdays too. I love that.
Yeah, 8 to 2 on Saturdays or thereabouts. So, um, all right, guys. Well, thank you for your time, Heather. This was awesome, and
Thank you
we will
so
talk to you
much.
again
I
soon.
hope I
Keep
helped
up the good work.
everybody.